Kevin Nelson, and here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. At a meeting with members of the Ordinary Council of the Synod of Bishops, Pope Francis announced that he will soon publish his first encyclical, which he said was written with 4 hands, his own and Pope Benedict XVI. He called the encyclical a strong document that had been written mostly by Pope Emeritus Benedict. The Pope told Council members that he had received their suggested draft for a post-Synod apostolic exhortation on the new evangelization, which was the theme of the Synod of Bishops in 2012. However, the Pope said that he felt the issuing of an exhortation after the encyclical would mean it would be hidden. So he told members that for the year of faith, which he said required a beautiful document, he will write an exhortation in August on evangelization in general, and within it refer to the Synod. And that way, he said, they can take everything from the Synod and apply it in a wider framework. Audio from the meeting June 13th was broadcast in the Vatican press office. In news now from around the country, the federal government is reversing its decision to appeal a judge's ruling that said the Food and Drug Administration must make emergency contraceptives, such as the morning after pill, available to girls of all ages by May 6th. In a June 10th letter to U.S. District Judge Edward Corman in Brooklyn, New York, Justice Department officials said they will submit a plan for compliance with his ruling and drop the appeal. The FDA has advised the drugs manufacturer to submit an application to make Plan B one step available over the counter without restrictions. However, the letter said that anyone under the age of 17 will be required to have a prescription and an ID to obtain the 2-pill Plan B product available over the counter because it's significantly different from the 1-pill version. U.S. Catholic officials have expressed their disappointment in the reversal. More news now from the Vatican. Pope Francis held his weekly general audience speaking to a packed St. Peter's Square. In his remarks, he focused on the World Day Against Child Labor. Rome Reports has more.
During his weekly general audience, Pope Francis made a special mention of World Against Child Labor Day, which is celebrated on Wednesday. The Pope explained that child exploitation is a global problem that's constantly increasing.
Tutti I bambini devono poter giocare, studiare, pregare e crescere nelle proprie famiglie. E questo in un contesto armonico di amore e di serenità. E questa gente invece di farli giocare, li fa schiavi. È una piaga questa. È un loro diritto e un nostro dovere. Una fanciullezza serena permette ai bambini di guardare con fiducia verso la vita e il domani. Guai a chi soffoca in loro lo slancio gioioso della speranza.
Pope Francis also continued his catechesis on the Creed. He explained why the Second Vatican Council presented the Church as a, quote, people of God, meaning it must be driven in authentic love.
Quando noi guardiamo sui giornali o sulla TV tante guerre fra cristiani, ma come si può capitare questo? Dentro del popolo di Dio, quante guerre, ma nei quartieri, nei posti di lavoro, quante guerre per invidia, gelosie, anche nella stessa famiglia, quante guerre interne. Ma noi dobbiamo chiedere al Signore che ci faccia capire bene questa legge dell'amore, ma che buono, che bello è amarci uno all'altro come fratelli veri. Che bello è quello.
For 2013, the International Labor Organization, which sponsors the World Day Against Child Labor, focused on the estimated 10.5 million children who do domestic work, cleaning, ironing, cooking, collecting water, looking after other children, or caring for the elderly in other people's homes. In news now from Canada, if the Quebec government has its way, physician-assisted suicide may become legal in the province in the near future. The province's government introduced Bill 52 on June 12th, which would allow a doctor, with the repeated consent of a patient, to administer medication to cause death. If passed, it will be the first of its kind in Canada. Pro-life and other groups are denouncing the bill. Alex Skadenberg of the Euthanasia Prevention Coalition said the bill redefines palliative care to include terminal medical sedation and medical aid in dying. While the legislation lists several requirements that must be met before a patient is deemed eligible for euthanasia, the Catholic Organization for Life and Family point out that a patient does not have to try other treatments before requesting it. Justice Minister Rob Nicholson, in a statement, promised that the federal government would review Bill 52. In 1993, the Canada Supreme Court upheld criminal code provisions against assisted suicide, and in 2010 it was struck down again by a large majority of the Canadian Parliament. And finally in the news, conversion was the theme of the Catholic Theological Society of America's 68th annual convention, but the hot topic was the new papacy of Pope Francis. Members and guest presenters meeting June 6th through the 9th in Miami agreed that the new pontiff's leadership has been inspiring, challenging, and accessible. They said that his papacy is giving new traction to Catholic social teachings. Peter Casarella, a professor of Catholic Studies at DePaul University in Chicago and director of the university's Center for World Catholicism and Intercultural Theology, said that the idea of a Latin American who entered into the office of the papacy by saying, "I am a bishop, you are a people, and we are on a journey together," set a welcoming and necessary tone given all the challenges facing the Church. The group's vote of confidence in Pope Francis comes a little more than a month before his first papal trip abroad for the 2013 World Youth Day in Brazil. Well, that is all the information we have for this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.